Hello guys and welcome to another video, and in this one we will be driving this daily race C at Sardinia Road Track C in reverse. And to be honest, I never really had any expectations out of this race. So it was a group 3 race, and of course you had to use mandatory soft tires, so they were the only available. But this time we have some settings, so GT7 has become kind of a, let's say, a setup guide, I can say, because every week now they are trying to experiment with something else, and this week it's the natural frequency, and these are the settings that I'm using with my Genesis, so 320 and 380 at the back. So this is something that in the end helped me to achieve a better lap time, and it was like a tenth and a half, maybe even 2 tenths quicker than my usual. I think it was, I would say, about a tenth and a half, so it's not like a huge difference, but it does help. And of course here we got the first race of the day. It was, I think it was actually my second race. I won my first race, but these guys, I don't know what happened, but they were so much quicker in the next race, and everyone improved. I don't know how, but everyone improved. And yeah, I'm just driving here in 5th place, minding my own business, and we got a pretty tough thing to do. We gotta get a couple of these places, and these guys are really quick. And now Ark made this little mistake, and I just tried to kind of get myself on the outside of that corner, but it's almost impossible to do it. And even this corner, this last corner, is incredibly difficult to do it with this Genesis, not only because it's such a sharp turn and you have to barely brake and just to get it about perfect if you want to get at least something out of it. It's Genesis at the same time. Second gear with this car is incredibly difficult, so someone even suggested like use third, but if you don't get it right in third, you will probably not get as much acceleration out of it. So it's, you know, it has to be perfect to get it down in third gear. And luckily for me, at this point Ark made this little mistake right now, and just as I said before, it's difficult, but at the same time you just, I don't know, you really have to perfect it to get it done right. And if the guy in front of you has a slipstream, you cannot really do much. You can just send it, but he closed the door and I just couldn't send it. I mean, it would have, most likely it would have been a crash, and this is something that I really wanted to avoid. So only 3 laps out of 20, so it's, let's say, a fairly long race, as usual daily race, see, about 20 minutes. This one a little bit longer than usual, and at this point I thought, okay, you know what, I will just try to avoid making these mistakes. And I realized if someone is in front of you, you have so much dirty air that it's almost impossible to hold it full out in this section. So you have to lift, you just have to allow the car to get some breathing space, and you know, eventually then get on the power and just try to take it as easy as possible, because you know, you're gonna ruin your tires. If you start pushing in the first couple of laps, it will be not a very good idea, because the tires are gonna suffer, and later on, about, I would say now, 6 to about 10 laps, you will be much slower. So it's definitely not worth doing. So you have to take it a bit easier and just, you know, let the car do the work for you. And now Ark once again closes the door, and now I think Lewis, he apologized for this later. He just missed his braking point, but unfortunately I lost a place here. So instead of going for a move and getting that one place, I lost one. So he did apologize later, and then, you know, this happened. I mean, this was one of the I don't know what these guys were doing, but they're really fighting hard. And I mean, it's nothing like Lewis did. He just missed his braking point, he apologized later, but these guys were really going for it. I mean, there was nothing holding them back, just literally corner by corner, and just pushing and literally not giving each other nothing. I mean, basically there was no space, and then just like dive bombing all the time. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have a look, and you know, this Spaniard made a little mistake, went wide, and just he actually almost lost the car. It was actually fortunate, very fortunate for him that he was able to recover it. And now I'm kind of in P5, so it's kind of looking good for me. But now I see Tommy in front, and you know, you never really know with these two guys. I mean, I don't know, but they were just sending it all the time. And Tommy now, he just didn't want to wait, and there it is. Yeah, doesn't really look that clean, but he kind of helped me to get a place. So I never really thought it was gonna be like this, but you know, just looking at this replay, okay, didn't miss his braking point, but it was just like completely in. It was a complete dive bomb. Ark didn't give him that much space, but come on, you cannot really do something like that. You need to give the place back. I mean, at least that's what I thought. But then, you know, it was very surprising. I really didn't expect like this. Someone used me as a brake. And yeah, pushed me off. yeah, that was definitely something that I did not expect, and I definitely did not expect something like that. And I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? And I mean, I had to have a look. I mean, definitely. So he just didn't want to stop. I mean, like, yeah, pushed me off the track. I wasn't the one who, you know, who caused all of this, but you know, I was getting pushed, and you know, just when I watched this from, I just watched it from a couple of angles, but I think this is the best one. Like, bam, not even braking. You're not gonna do it again. I think this one is actually a little bit better, and like, okay, I'm gonna take you out. Like, literally taking no prisoners. And I mean, I was kind of happy about it. Not really happy about it, but it helped me. It definitely did help me, because I got like 2 places, and that was pretty much about it. I mean, I didn't really have to think too much about it. You know, if I'm gonna make a move or not, he made everything for me. Not something that I would really like to see anytime soon, but again, it does happen. This stuff does happen in dailies, I guess, more often than not. But yeah, this is the first time in, let's say, I've seen it in just about a couple of months. And okay, I was in P5, the other guys overtook me, and then I saw he was on the intermediates. He changed the tires to intermediates. He made the wrong decision. Actually, it's very easy to make that wrong move, and he just had to pit once again. Otherwise, he would just be like 2 seconds, maybe even like 3 seconds slower per lap. So it wasn't something that was viable. Okay, here now looking at the last lap, 20 of 20, and Polov made this move. I think this was much cleaner. They gave each other space. They were going on for, I think, about 10 laps with this fight, and they gave each other both some space. I don't think it was that clean, but in the end I think was much cleaner than what happened back there with those 2 guys. And once again, I was given that 1 extra place. So yeah, Wind made this little mistake, and I just got promoted into podium position, P3. So I don't even know what to think about this race. You guys let me know what you think about this race, but it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible by any standards, and I was like, okay, I can be really lucky that I finished this race, so we can move on to the next one. And now when I edited this race, and I thought to myself, maybe something like that can be avoided. Maybe we can have heavy penalties, and we can both agree that that would be like a good option. Maybe it wouldn't, maybe it would, but in the next Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Cup, we have heavy damage. So there is something that, you know, these situations are definitely gonna get avoided. But now, moving on to the next race, or actually this race, it was hard to pick 2 races that were actually really good, but these ones were like really good and really close. I mean, both of, I mean, actually I did about 6-7 races. They were all really good, and they were all really close. But in the end, these are the ones that I picked, and these were the ones that were actually, you know, really up high there. I mean, I can say the first one wasn't really up to the standards, but the second race was getting really close between all of us, and it was a really tight call. I mean, you know, when I'm just driving like this, I mean, it's very difficult to, you know, to stay behind, and somehow I avoided making a mistake here. I made the mistake, but I was lucky enough to get the car in line and not to lose it completely. I lost a couple of tenths, but it's really tough when you're driving behind someone. You can lose the downforce, you just lose that speed, and eventually you're just trying to get out of, you know, out of a certain corner, and you're losing it. The car just does not have the grip, and you, of course, you want to stay as close as possible to the guy in front of you, and you're just not letting go off the throttle. But somehow I was able to get closer to Danny, who he was like really close during this whole afternoon, evening, we can say, and we were just driving like, I think it was maybe, the difference was always like a tenth and a half, maybe even 2 tenths. It was just super close to each other. And at the end, I think I won some races. Some races he was a little bit quicker, but in the end, I think he had a bit more consistency than I did, especially in this section. I mean, he was just pushing it, and just a little bit quicker. I mean, not much, but a tenth and a half, and he was always able to extract it out of this section. And definitely this last corner, I mean, now he made this little mistake, I was able to get closer to him, but at this point I thought maybe it's not such a good idea to fight all the time, so I just wanted to give him little indication that, you know, I'm not gonna go for this move. I'm not gonna go for this because we got these two guys in front, and if you want to catch these guys in front, we gotta work together. So we cannot start fighting like this, because I mean, this is just gonna ruin both our chances to eventually get a podium. I mean, we can get a podium, but we will probably not get into that first two spots. And I actually pitted a lap later than they did. I pitted when Wind was in the pits, and I think this was kind of a good decision that I made, because it gave me better tires in the end. And Donnie was barely, I don't know what happened to him, but I think he made a little mistake, and he barely got in front of me. So this shows you that you can stay one lap longer on old set of tires here, and there is not going to be so much difference. You can maybe lose about half a second, but in the end, for the next 10 laps, you will be about, I would say, a tenth. On average, it's about half a tenth to about a tenth faster per lap. So it's something that is worth doing. Of course, if you stay and just fight all the time, it's definitely not worth, but that's exactly what happened, and I was able to get closer to these guys and able to get once again to this podium position. Antonio, Dani, and Wind, they were like going for it, but I mean, it was clean and it was respectful at the same time. So that's why I wanted to, you know, make a video about this one, because you don't get so many races like that. But you know, on the other hand, you have races like race number 1, and you have something like this when everyone is fighting all the time, but it's actually clean. So it could be a little bit cleaner, I can say, but it's like really respectful and guys are giving each other space. So yeah, I was able to get outside of this corner, and Donnie was, I don't think he kind of realized that I was there, because he kind of pushed me outside of the track, but I think it was more like a racing incident than something that was deliberate and like, okay, I'm gonna just push you out, I mean, get out of the way. So yeah, I think in the end it was more something like this, but you know, we're still going for it. I mean, P4, but now I wanted to I wanted to highlight that the guy behind me was Killian. He's the world champion. I mean, he's the nation's world champion, and he's like, okay, you know what, you guys fight, and I'm just gonna join the fight, and I'm gonna take all of your places, and I'm gonna win the race. But Antonio made this little mistake, which meant that Dani was gonna get P2, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can squeeze myself in there, maybe I can, you know, make a move and go for that P3, but it just wasn't enough. He was braking really late and didn't give me that much space, so we were just too wide. But there is no way that we can go too wide into the next section, and it was absolutely not worth doing. So I just, you know, I lifted a little bit, you know, settled down, and I really didn't want to get that much understeer and even potentially make a mistake. So this, on one hand, it was good for me because I kind of saved my place, and Antonio made one little mistake, so I was once again in the position to, you know, to make a move, but it really didn't work out. And then Killian joined the fight. He really wanted to get that move done, but Antonio had a kind of a poor exit. I moved onto the left side, but then I realized, I mean, this is not that great because he's gonna get the slipstream, I won't, and I'm probably gonna lose that place. So I tucked in behind them, you know, stayed in the middle, and I think this was the right thing to do. Just stay in the middle of the track, you know, defend against Killian, and potentially get a good exit and go for that P3. Unfortunately, or kind of fortunately, I kind of saved my place, but at the same time, it wasn't good enough to attack for P3. So we were just, you know, in these last couple of corners, everyone wants to go for it. Everyone really wants to get like this P3, but you know, it was kind of here and there. I mean, Antonio pulled away, and now I was under this little threat from Killian, but it just wasn't close enough. So I was kind of going defensive, didn't really want to, let's say, defend too hard, but at the same time I thought maybe, you know what, if he sees that gap, he will go for it. But in the end, I think I can be happy with this P4, and I can really be happy how we all finished, and there wasn't like a huge incident, and we all got clean through this last couple of corners. So guys, once again, I really hope that you enjoyed in this video. If you did, you can always hit the like button. You might even want to subscribe, and I can see like a huge portion of you are not subscribed to my channel, so consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, just to see more videos like this one. So guys, until the next time, bye.